Hello and welcome to Michael's Minty Music for today. Today we review Train's 2014 album, Bulletproof Picasso. It's pretty good. It's definitely a good album from Train. It's got a lot of good songs on it, and I would definitely suggest it to anyone who would ask. This is the track listing, and these are the tracks that I added to my playlist. 9 out of 12, 75%. A lot of tracks off of this one. The main problem, though, this album has is that it doesn't really come together great at all. Despite most of the songs being pretty good, the album kind of sprinkles in the slow moments that end up preventing the real hype songs from being really great. And it isn't designed well enough that you can kind of follow the mood. The first 3 songs are all super great, and then Give It All slows it down a little bit. But then the mood goes immediately back up with the next track, Wonder What You're Doing for the Rest of Your Life, which is an upbeat one. The next 2 tracks, or the next 3 really, slow it down gradually, but then I Will Remember in the Bridge brings it right back up, right when you would have expected this sort of emotional conclusion of the album. The final 2 tracks do complete the album quite well, especially that last one, Don't Grow Up So Fast. But it doesn't really feel as good as it could due to sort of how the rest of the album was. So as a result, it's kind of an album that's full of really good music that doesn't come together at all in the track listing. If you rearranged it a little bit, I bet you could probably get it to be pretty good. But as it is right now, it's not as good of an album as it really could be based on the music that's here. The only single released before the album was Angel in a Blue Jeans, which was on the radio at the time, and that was the big hit off of this album. My favorite song here, though, is probably the opening track, Cadillac, Cadillac, although Wonder What You're Doing for the Rest of Your Life is also really good, and Just a Memory also was sort of competing for that top spot. There are a lot of good songs on this album, I will say, but the album as a whole doesn't really come together. Now, I rank this album 5th out of Train's albums, just barely in the top half. This album has a lot of good songs. It's kept out of the top by the fact that there's basically no flow here. The album is kind of more of a collection of good songs than sort of a whole album. All the albums above this album are ones that have sort of at least a competent emotional flow throughout the album. And the ones below this one generally don't have great songs. So this is kind of the gatekeeper, I guess, for getting into for the really good Train albums, as this album has a lot of good music, but it's not really put together well as an album in my opinion. Additionally, this album doesn't take my top spot from 2014. That goes to George Ezra's debut album, Wanted on Voyage, which is a great album that flows almost perfectly, starting in sort of a mid-speed all the way down to low. So that clearly takes it. I do enjoy that album a lot more. Next up is Pink Floyd's 2014 album, The Endless River. This is their last official album, and it's a bit of a weird one because of the timing. It features a bunch of instrumental tracks that they put together based on the extra sessions recordings that they had from when they were making The Division Bell. So it's kind of sort of an extra. We took a bunch of stuff that we had recorded but not used and put it into an instrumental album. So I'm not really sure what to expect here. Anyway, stay tuned for that. That'll be the last Pink Floyd album. So good to finish with them. And as always, stay minty.